Have you ever felt like you want to change your life, but then you feel guilty about it? Maybe you feel a bit selfish, or you're just worried about how other people might perceive you because you start to prioritize yourself. If that sounds like you, I hope you keep on listening because I would love to change your mind. Okay, before I go further, let's acknowledge the guilt. Growing up, I find that society teaches us that if we were to put ourselves first, we are essentially just being selfish, especially if it means going against other people's expectations. But honestly, if you feel the guilt, it's actually a sign that you are ready for a change and you want to change. And as humans, that's completely normal because you are meant to evolve. You're meant to go through different stages in your life and you're meant to grow and thrive, because the moment you stay where you are your whole entire life, you are just not going to grow. You're going to remain stagnant. So embrace the fact that you do want to change and be ready to step outside your comfort zone. Okay, let's talk about the reasons behind the guilt. I've come up with 3 main reasons, and the first one is the fear of judgment. Now, I think as humans, it is so easy for us to be worried about what other people may perceive or think of us the moment we want to do something different. As humans, I think it is completely normal that once you are in a tribe or like in a community and you feel really accepted, but the moment you want to change something about your life that requires you to step outside of the community just for a bit or for quite a while or maybe permanently, you are just afraid of them judging you. You're afraid of what people might think of you, and you start to just assume how people feel about you when you do decide to change. And that's one thing that I've learned about myself, is that I would sometimes automatically assume how people might react to something that I would love to do. And that is not helpful because, number one, you've never given the opportunity or a chance to tell the people around you that you want to embark on this new change. And you just automatically assume that they are going to say something negative about it. And maybe it's because, they've done that in the past. You kind of expect the reaction that they might have because you've seen them done it to other people before, or maybe you've experienced it yourself. But at the end of the day, if you want to make a change and if you really care about the people around you, it's either you tell them or you don't tell them. For me personally, when I do things, I kind of just do it. I don't tell anyone unless I value that person's opinions or advice. Whether that person encourages you, supports you, it's a different thing. But assuming how they would react negatively is another thing. Because for all you know, when you do tell them, they might surprisingly support you. They might say, hey, you know what? I've always wanted to do that too. Do you want to do it together? So don't automatically assume that people would be negative about the things that you want to do just because it's different. And speaking of people judging you, the second fear I realized is the fear of leaving people behind. They want to pursue something, but at the same time, they want to grab the people with them to join them on the journey. And I think one of the reasons why they do that is because you feel like it might benefit them as much as it benefits you. But at the same time, you also have to realize that different people want different things in life. Just because, we are in the same community, same group, or, we've been close for such a long time, it doesn't really mean that we want the same things. And that's completely okay. So for you to venture out all on your own and to feel guilty that you might leave the people behind, that's a normal, natural feeling. So if you're afraid that the people around you think that you are abandoning them, just talk to them. Like, if you care about that person and that person cares just as much for you, then you won't have an issue just talking about it and say, hey, you know what? I'm going through this thing and I really want to make this change because it's going to be beneficial for my life. And I'm just telling you this so that next time when I cannot make it to certain functions or certain gatherings, or I can't hang out with you like I usually do, it's because I'm doing this. And I hope you understand. And honestly, it just really depends on the person's reaction, because sometimes they either support you or they are the complete opposite. And they think not about you, but more on themselves. So sometimes when they feel like you're abandoning them or leaving them behind, it's not a you problem, it's their problem. And maybe this is like bad advice or like unpopular opinion, but I find that as humans, we're just naturally just thinking about ourselves. It is not related to you. You still sometimes make it about you. And the thing is, you're not aware of that. So when people feel a certain way when you do something different, it's mostly about themselves and not about you at all. We're going to go through different phases in our lives, and sometimes you're going to outgrow your relationships your environment, your career, the things that you've always been doing. You're gonna outgrow your routines because you're craving for that change and you want something better. And you're ready to take on a whole different challenge, because when you have a different purpose in life, it just ignites you and it just fuels you up and you want to show up better. So let's say you're in a group and you want to do something different. In order to do that, you kind of have to hang out less with the current group that you have. And whether that group wants to understand or not, they might feel inferior towards you because they might think, hey, you're just like us. Why do you want to do something different? You think you're better than us now? And sadly enough, that's something to kind of expect, even if you are really close to that person or that group, because at the same time, they also cannot accept the fact that you have different goals, different values, and different priorities that are not similar than them. And especially if you're hanging around, let's say, a group of people who are always, miserable or always shit talking about stuff in life, like they hate their partner, they hate their job, they hate everything, and they always blame the government this, government that, blah 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 blah, but they never really make the change. And because you have outgrown that mentality and that mindset and you want to change it, so you decide to change your life and change yourself for the better, they see it as, oh, so you think you're better than us now. I think when they say things like that, it comes from a place of hurt as well, but also at the same time, it is not your problem. As a recovering people pleaser, I used to think like, oh my gosh, like I don't want to, make this person feel bad. So I think I'll just not do what I said I wanted to do so that, everyone can be happy together and we don't have to like argue. And I think that's a really bad mindset or mentality, and trust me, I've learned that the hard way through many stages in my life. And as I'm in my 30s right now, I find that the older that I get, the more I stand up for myself. Things that don't gel with me, I'll say it. Certain things, it does take time because I really am not a confrontational person, and when things bother me, I tend to keep it to myself. But I've learned that when you do that, you're just going to resent it and you're going to resent the person. Yeah, that's when you really have to stand up for yourself and speak up. Okay, and the final reason is cultural expectations, aka also family expectations, because the culture that you're from is essentially coming from your upbringing, which is also comes from your family. So if you have that family expectation or that cultural expectation that you're supposed to do this by a certain age and you shouldn't do that because it's wrong, I think that's when you start to feel guilty about it. So I'll just maybe give you a generic example. If your cultural or family expectation is that you get a partner, you get married, and then you have kids because you're supposed to have kids instead of family of your own when you do get married. Because to them, once you're married, you're supposed to build a family. But what if you decide that you don't want to have a family of your own? You don't want to have kids because you just don't want that. It's not like you hate kids or anything, you just don't want kids. But to the cultural or family expectations, that is wrong. And because of that they have imposed that expectation on you. And maybe if you are in a situation where they pressure you like crazy, you're not going to be happy. And if you're just going to be like, okay, I guess I'm just, I'll just succumb to it and I'll just have a kid even though I don't really want to, but that's what we're supposed to do according to my family or cultural expectations, then you're going to resent it. Okay, the thing is, when you do something that you don't want to do, but you still do it anyway to please other people, you are going to resent the people who put you through that, and you're going to resent yourself as well. And that's the last thing that you ever want to do, because this can also happen in relationships. I've seen people where they've grown older or they've grown really old together, and one person has been keeping to herself for a very long time, and it just builds up because that person never really communicates to their partner as to how they actually really feel. So the cycle goes on and it just builds up, and as they get older, finally you just either explode and then it's bad, or you resent them forever. And instead of loving the person who is supposed to be your lifetime partner, you resent that person for life. And that's just not a nice feeling, because at the end of the day, you're the one who is experiencing it and you feel like you're just battling internally. And you know what they say, you get what you tolerate. So the more you tolerate things that don't vibe with you, don't align with you at all, the more you're going to hurt yourself. Whatever expectations that is being imposed on you, take it with a grain of salt, to be honest. Like, think about what is the best for you. And again, people might think it's selfish, but personally, I find that if you don't pour love into yourself, if you don't work on yourself, you don't put yourself first, how are you going to show up for the people around you? And that brings me to my next point, which is reframe your perspective. Instead of seeing it as you're being selfish to other people, take it as you're going to be a better version for yourself. So that means you will serve other people in your life even better because they get the best version of you. Because think about it, if you are a shitty version of yourself because you don't take care of yourself, you don't go ahead and do the things that you really want to do that would actually benefit your life, then how are you going to show up and be kind to other people as well when you're not being kind to yourself? And the thing is, when you change your life, it doesn't mean that you're abandoning the people that are in your current life. It honestly just means that you're becoming more aligned with your values and you're becoming your authentic self. And I do believe that, authenticity is a really hard thing to find within yourself. I saw this recent reel, and it's something along the lines of like, okay, this person, let's say person A is looking up to person B, and person A is trying to imitate whatever person B is doing. But what person A doesn't know is that person B is not actually being himself. He's actually also replicating what he sees in person C. So the thing is, it is hard to be authentic when you think you see someone that you aspire and you're like, okay, maybe I should be that person. But instead of being inspired by that person, you actually just copy whatever that person is doing, the way they speak, the way they live their life, the way they, look on the outside, like everything you copy that person. And that essentially isn't you. We've been conditioned that way in a sense since young. And I think especially now with social media, it's just make it so much more easier to see other people and see their lives, especially when it's a highlight reel. So you think like, oh, their life is so perfect, I want to be that way. So you emulate and just replicate. Sometimes you know that that is just not being you. I'm in my 30s right now, and I still find it hard to be authentic in certain ways because I think there's this subconscious judgment in my head that if I were to do things a certain way, it won't be quote unquote accepted when actually there's no audience, like do what feels right for you at the end of the day, as long as it aligns with your values, it aligns with your beliefs, it aligns with the life that you actually want to live. Like, I cannot stress this enough. Like, you have to live the life that you actually want, not the life that you were assigned to by other people. Because the life that you were assigned to by other people, look at other people's lives, like look at their lives and see if they are actually content or happy with their lives. Maybe they are, then that's good for them. But if that is not what you want, then isn't it worth it to just go ahead and change your life and ignore all of the fear of judgment from other people, ignore, the fear of abandoning people, just do things that feel right to you. Trust your gut, trust your intuition, because it never lies. I mean, like, as cliche and cheesy as it sounds, like it doesn't lie. Literally, it doesn't. And when you do go against it, let me tell you, it's gonna be hard to come back from it. I'm not saying you can't, like obviously you can, but it's just going to be tough to get back up because it's just going to be a rough lesson. So I know that I've rambled a lot about the fears of why you feel guilt, but I do want to provide you like practical ways on how you can move forward from this. So if you want to change your life and you feel guilty about it, I want you to get clear on your why. Why exactly you feel guilty about it. Take out a piece of paper, write it down. I don't care if you have a journal or you want to type it in your notes app or you want to type it on your laptop, computer, whatever. Just write down your why. Why is it that you feel guilty when you want to do X, Y, Z? And the moment you write and things start to flow, you realize that things are not as bad as it is and things are always figure outable. Just like Marie Forleo says. I think I mentioned her like once or twice, but like honestly, things are figure outable, which means you can figure things out easily, no matter how tough the situation is. And once you've gotten clear on your why, the next thing you can do is to find a support group. This sounds like Alcoholic Anonymous. It's not, okay? Surround yourself. I want you to surround yourself with supportive people or people who are going through a similar journey just like you. Or maybe you have a support system in real life where you can physically see them and talk to them, then that's even better. Like for me personally, I'm so grateful that I have a small support system. Like honestly, when you think about it, I don't really have much friends, okay? I'm just gonna put it out there. There's no shame in that. I'm working on it. But I have literally less than 5 people that I can trust my life with. And two of those people, which is my sister and my boyfriend, they are like the essential of my support system backbone. Like they believe in me as much as I believe in myself, which is really nice, to be honest, because I know that that kind of support is really important, and it just keeps you going on days where you feel really shit about your journey or you're really unsure about what you're doing. But they are there to reassure you and also just give you advice as to, how to move forward or not feel so stuck when you feel like crap. And if you're like, but Aisha, wait, I don't have, friends, or I don't know where to find a support system. Like, I feel so alone and lonely. And to be honest, I've been there, because when I was starting out freelancing, I had no community. And yeah, like I said, I have my support system in real life, but at the same time, I don't have that sense of community in the industry that I want to be in. So I'm freelancing for social media management and content creation for brands. And I didn't have that community where I could just, bounce around ideas with or take inspiration from, or just like have a support system in general. And that is the beauty of the internet, because once you put yourself out there, there's gonna be so many people that are in the same boat as you, and you are gonna be surprised because you're not the only one that's experiencing these things that you're going through right now. So for me, there's a lot of free communities that you can find, whether it is on Discord or Facebook or like Instagram memberships. And speaking of memberships, there's also a lot of paid memberships now where you can pay monthly and it's not expensive. I think like so far I've seen like $49, $97. Like, they are reasonable prices to basically just step into the community of the industry or niche that you want to be in. So like for me, there's like a paid membership for like social media managers that you can join. So honestly, don't overwhelm yourself. Just start small, because online there's so many communities that you can join. And if you do want to go for like networking events, I'm pretty sure there's loads that you can find, especially on LinkedIn if you are active enough to search on it. And my last practical tip is to set small milestones. I think this is really nice, just so that you don't lose your hope, you don't lose your momentum when it comes to your journey. Now, when I say journey, I know it sounds really vague, but apply to whatever you're going through right now. So let's say you want to get on a fitness journey, then, set small milestones. Like, okay, this first week, I'm going to go to the gym once a week. And then maybe the second week you say, okay, you know what? I'll go 2 times a week now. And then you get comfortable and you're like, you know what? Maybe the third week, I'm going to go 3 times a week, and I'm going to keep it up for a month. And maybe the second one, I'll do like 5 times a week, 4 times a week, whatever it is. Set small milestones. And also, when you are going through something, you're going through a change, there are going to be a lot of setbacks. Not everything is going to be like roses and unicorns, but it's just the reality of when you want to make a change. So let's say you want to move to a completely different country because you've outgrown your environment here right now, and you know that you'll definitely thrive in another environment, and you're gonna get more opportunities, and you're just going to just be better and thrive even more because you're ready to step outside your comfort zone. But that seems really overwhelming, right? Like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? Like, how is it that I'm going to move to another country? Like, how do I do this? So set small milestones. Maybe you're like, okay, the first week, I'm just going to figure out the visa situation, because we know that moving countries takes a lot of paperwork. Think about that. Or you want to find a place. Okay, let's secure a place over there. Or you want to find a new job first before actually taking the leap to move to another country. So set all these small milestones. Maybe when you reach that small milestone, not only does that give you the satisfaction, but also to keep it going, maybe you could reward yourself. Just like a little nice treat, And it just keeps the journey more fun, to be honest, because as serious as it is to change your life and make it better, you still have to make it fun along the way. So just remember that you do deserve a life that feels right for you, even if it means letting go of other people's expectations. Guilt is not a nice thing to feel, but just remember why you feel that way, and then take on these steps and actions to actually live the life that you want without letting the guilt hinder your process or your journey. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you. I love making self-development, self-growth content like this. So if you enjoy it as well, please hit the like and subscribe button for more content like this, and I'll see you in my next one.